All right. Peter, you saw very quickly the power of the personality masteries, the DNA for people, and the leverage it could give you, and then how the mobile app would be a game changer. Any thoughts, insights that you have on the mobile app and giving people leverage, Peter?
Well, I haven't gone through the most recent version of it, Mark, but having gone through the personalities, I know I think one of the most important things is understanding yourself and how you interact with those different personalities.
Right.
And to me, that's very revealing because immediately I could see things in people that I deal with, actually including my business partners, in a very different way from a communication standpoint. So I do think it's very transformational.
Tom, you had mentioned that, after you had retired from Century 21, you had mentioned that, if you had known the power of personality mastery, you'd have had all 140,000 agents in all 80-plus countries going through it. Why is it so potent, so powerful, Tom, for companies?
Well, in our business, especially when the agents are meeting with the people who own the property, and typically there's usually a couple of people, husband, wife, or two, whatever it may be. But what I saw the power of this personality masteries being is with it just changing a few words, you could, and talking to both people about either buying or selling a home, that you could get them to get that feeling that, oh, he gets me. He understands how I think. And even though they're maybe two different personalities, just by the way that the agent would phrase his presentation or whatever he's talking about, which he would learn in personality masteries, would give him the upper edge in terms of having that couple feel really comfortable in working with this person.
So, Tom, what would it be like to go ahead and have a mobile app that would do all of that, for you?
Be amazing. I mean, really. I mean, you could sit down and it would be like it would like having a mobile app that you could kind of just look at somebody and it would pop up and say, this is how you should approach them.
Right.
It's fascinating when, in the auto industry, and it's the same with any industry, how much the CRM systems, the customer relationship marketing and management systems, you're trying to gather lifestyle habits about people so that you learn more about them, what their activities are and what their, members of their family, so that you can get to know your customers better. There's hundreds of millions, billions of dollars spent on those systems and trying to get franchisees and employees to populate them on the one hand, and that's a massive industry today. And then you look at something like this, which actually, in a sense, helps you, if you understand your customer's personality or the people you're interacting with, build a closer bond or use language, to Tom's point, that builds that trust factor much more effortlessly in a way, and I think has much more leverage than just gathering simple factoids about people to try and manage the relationship over a period of time. So, I think if this can be applied in a customer database type of way into companies' customer relationship marketing programs, then it has huge potential, because I think it's much more efficient in the strength of the communication.
And we're going to have Nicole, we're going to invite Nicole on here in a couple minutes, and she's with Untangled Minds and amazing nonprofit community-based organizations, where Tangled Minds, like, it seems like the media and the way of thinking tangles people's minds. It kind of brainwashes people to think in a way that maybe is not the most productive for them long term. And so we're going to have Nicole join us in a moment with some ideas on how could she use the mobile app to be able to increase the quantity and quality of donors or volunteers, how to increase the percentage of the donors that close that say, yes, I'm interested, but actually writing the check. How do you reduce the donor contribution cycle? So does it take 6 months or 3 months or 2 years? How do you increase referrals from current and past donors and volunteers? How do you increase access to spheres of influence and systems for creating profitable partnerships? And how do you reduce the cost? Because if we can do that in a nonprofit or in a for-profit, then we can serve our those that we're serving, our constituencies, better. So how can we be a disruptor for a great cause and being able to go through it? When we look at the grouping of the people together, you can group them based on their personalities, and then assist different personality types learn to communicate and appreciate the value of different personalities. And then you can make it easy for everyone in the group to quickly see how they compare to other personality types and how everyone can gain mutual benefits from working together. I think that's one of the talents Tom has, is to intuitively know, okay, this person's going to be strong here, weak here, and then he puts together these amazing teams. And what if there was a mobile app that could do that could support that? So it's really good for any type of business or any type of organization, any service, industry, CPAs, realtors, insurance agent, mortgage, offline, online businesses, builders, engineers, retail, wholesale, restaurants. I mean, any business could benefit from it. Any type of organization could benefit from it. Churches, any religious organization, Boy, Girl Scouts, Rotary, any networking group, any community group, really any type of group could benefit from this. And as we're the ones that introduce it to them, then we've helped that group in a tremendous way. And when you help a group, you gain leverage because you give them leverage. And so Life Masteries Institute and Legacy Partners are nonprofit 501c3 organizations and are, in a great deal of need for your help, for my help, for our help. As we help them, they will help you and I together, and we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. And so when we look at any type of business, if you are in business and desire to earn more, you can invest a little money monthly and grow all areas of your business and the bottom line. If you're an individual or any type of organization, if you're passionate about, anything, I'd consider giving generously. And now is such a great time of the year, end of the year. There's, the tax write-off. There's a season of giving. I believe this is going to, it's already starting to show, and it's already demonstrated throughout the years that it'll help people literally prevent suicides. It'll help people based on their personality with addictions, help people with depression, help people with anxiety, help people that are really in abusive situations based on their personality to see things in a very different way. So DNAforpeople.com, go to that. Again, Life Masteries Institute is getting that up and going, so there's different phases. Feel free to connect with the individual who invited you to participate, give them additional, feedback, input, on that. And let's open it up for Nicole here. Nicole, welcome. Tell us a little bit, if you could, about Untangled Minds.
So Untangled Minds was founded by Alan Stein and myself, basically to support the AMP program, to help students learn how to work outside of school. basically take those life success skills, the DNA for people, DNA for life, those skills, and how to leverage them in bettering themselves, bettering themselves personally and professionally. And the medium we use is manufacturing specifically. And so we teach them manufacturing techniques and actually put them in situations that are very uncomfortable for most people and for most students, and getting them to think differently about a lot of situations that students aren't normally exposed to.
Nice. And Tanglewood Conservatories, Alan and Nancy founded that many years ago. They build million-dollar conservatories all over the world, obviously working with, very affluent and influential, individuals, as, Tom, and what he's doing also works with very affluent, influential people, as with Peter. So there's a number of those things. Tom, you help raise over $100 million for Easter seals. So you're used to going after, the big donors, the affluent, influential. It seems like, Tom, that often it's hard if you have a relationship with somebody who's very affluent or influential. It can be hard, Tom, to broach the subject financially. You have relationships with them. You don't want them to think that you're just interested in the money. Any suggestions that you would give to Nicole on how Untangled Minds, in partnership with Life Masteries Institute and the mobile app, could go ahead and approach, especially at the end of the year here, how would you recommend, Tom, approaching very affluent, influential people in the most effective way?
Well, I think, first of all, you don't just pick somebody out of the blue and go hit them. You've got to find a little bit about who they are and what they've done in the past, and then capitalize on that to tell your story as to why you think this would be something they would be interested in doing. But definitely just go ask. I mean, the worst they can say is no, but you've got to tie it back to something that they believe. I believe that you have to tie it back to something that they believe in, or that they have relationships with, and then just go ask for whatever you're looking for. But I wouldn't shy away from the smaller donors too. It may take longer, but it's the same kind of situation. You've got to connect with them, and that's how you could use personality masteries, is to start with those 4 questions and then build on that to gain some interest, and then talk about why you think your cause would be something they would be interested in donating their monies to and see some kind of return for.
So, Tom, have you found that it seems like very affluent and very influential people maybe have, in some ways, more pain in their life than, normal people?
I don't know if it's any more. I think that they probably have the same amount of pain, but I think sometimes what happens is that, especially if you're extremely busy, your personal life and your business life tend to start to blur. And so I think it just multiplies whatever kind of pain that you're going through. Especially if you're in your industry, whatever it may be, if the industry is in that cycle of the business that is not the best for the business, now you're dealing with the downside of your business. That's going to affect your personal life, and so, yeah, it's an interesting cycle to go through. But I don't know that at the end of the day it may be greater, but I don't know that it's any worse than anybody else's pain.
In the book by Malcolm Gladwell, David and Goliath, they talk about how raising children in an affluent home is actually harder than raising normal kids. And I don't know about the statistics, but I know so many very affluent families where the kids and the drug addictions and the suicide and the depression and all the other things. So it does seem like the fastest way, I think, Nicole, to anybody's heart is through their kids or their grandkids. So if you approach, like, all of Tanglewood's networks, everybody, all of our networks, and say, hey, there's this really cool mobile app, and, it's personality in 17 seconds, like everybody's interested. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. You're interested in those types of things. You're interested in family members and being able to do that. And then it seemed then finding out like a traumatic experience. And so I've met some of Tanglewood's, clients, and one of their, clients went ahead and had his wife and 3 sons die in a, in a fire many years ago. And that was very, pronounced. Another one had a daughter that committed suicide. And so if you can go deep with them, Nicole, and they can see, and so from a fundraising perspective and the big dollars in fundraising, people tend to have 2 types of perspectives. One is quantity of people, which tends to be the driver and the wavy line. They want to, big goals impact tons of people. The second type is the quality. So not so much, I don't want to reach 10,000 people. I want to reach 10 people significantly. So going deep or going wide. What the mobile app does is it does both. Like 1 million people's nothing for a mobile app, and you can go really deep. Peter, you've worked with, very affluent, influential people. Any suggestions you would give for Untangled Minds?
Well, I think, a lot of, the wealthy mix in very small circles. And, at Rolls-Royce, when you want to target those people, the way you would do it really is to try and be present where they are active, because as Tom kind of alluded to, you can't just call on individuals. You need to try and weave yourself into where they're active, and whether that's through events, fundraisers, church. It could be a whole variety of things. Other businesses that deal with high net worth customers, and events that are put on for them, whether they're fundraisers or not. But being part of those activities that are tailored towards the wealthy, because they mix in very small circles in that sense. But if you can be part of functions that they're involved with, that gives you access to tell your story, and whether it's selling something or whether it's raising funds, it gives you it gives you face time with those individuals. And so whether you're participating in events that others are putting together, or whether you're creating your own environment to attract those people to it, then to me that was at least a very successful way to get in front of those high net worth customers.
Nice. Nicole, was that helpful? Any questions you had on that?
Yeah, it's definitely really helpful. And Peter, I love your idea of just being where they are. And Tom, you talked about, the personal life and the professional life, it kind of blurs. And I've noticed that when the people that I've talked to, and they're always working. And if I've learned anything about that, that's what it is. And I'm just sitting here thinking of all the ways that I can make this work. And how do you leverage a whole database of people? I mean, if we're talking about, and going back to the FedEx principle, if we're talking about leveraging, Life Masteries or Synergy or Tanglewood or whoever's database, and we identify those people, how do you do something like that?
One of the best ways we found with Easter Seals is you have to show what the results have done. And so the Easter Seals time had programs for adults, they had programs for kids. And so we would actually work when we were doing a campaign or working or asking for money. And one of the best things we did with our our brokerages is to have them go visit a Easter Seals facility, see what the money really does, see the good that it brings, talk to people who have received the services that may have not been able to have those services had they not had this organization to help them out. And it's amazing. The company I'm with now, we do Special Olympics, and it's amazing to see what can happen when people pool their money together and get involved in volunteering for these kinds of causes. So the more you can get them to see the result of what the money brings, I think the easier it is for them to sit down and write a check.
Nice.
Okay. Look, and on that, I would say if you've got a large database, you need to segment it, at least as best you can, towards those that could be big contributors versus small contributors. I mean, there are events that at least spring to mind based on my experience from Art Basel in Miami to Naples Winter Wine Festival, also in Florida, to events that go on up in Napa Valley. And if you're looking at where do the high net worth people traffic, and those that are givers, there are events all over the country, but certainly in California and Florida, there's some major ones that are to do with art or wine or things like that. That when you're dealing with a large database, then you want to be able to set your stall up, if you will. And to Tom's point, that's the product is the experience that you're giving to those kids, and that's your pitch effectively. And as I said, the high net worth are elusive, and you need to get where they're playing effectively. The lower net worth, which is smaller, maybe more frequent contributors, then I think you can approach those through more traditional communication formats on a larger scale. So you've really got to kind of break up your database into and segment it into those that you're going to target through social interaction or event interaction, and those that you can target for lower amounts of funds through more mass media digital approach.
Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about in the bonus session today the ARRT, the Atomic Ripple Reaction Tree. Hopefully we'll go ahead and be able to start off with Lou and some of the things that he's doing, and hopefully Emily, Elise, and Jill, and Rosanna, and Ski, and Lee will be able to, and maybe some others will be able to participate in that. There'll be a 5-second pause to go into that. There's so many things, there's so much opportunity to make such a massive impact, and through leverage, we can have our cake and eat it too. Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. God bless. Have a great day. Bye-bye.